Hey, what's up, guys? It's same old G, and it's early in the morning, and it's getting cold. It's getting cold out here. There was some snow on Montreal a couple days ago, and it's the holiday season that is right at the door. It smells like fucking holidays and stuff. So yeah, this is another video about I decided to do a coming out and discuss the game that I've been trying to design over the last year, and so this one is the one I'm particularly proud because I designed it all. It's not an hack like aluminum. Aluminum is more like a burning wheel and torchbearer hack. This one is nothing like that. This one is really just from me. Of course, there's some inspiration here and there from stuff, but it's not hack. It's called I don't know how I want to call it, but more and more I want to call it Mortem. I used to call it rigor mortis, but I think I'm gonna call it Mortem. It's a detective story, so it's a classic whodunit situation. So basically, you are the player creates detectives, and it's a game for 1 or 2 player max, plus GM, and GM is also a player in the game, but it's a player with a different role. So so the structure is this. You have the GM, who can be called the narrator, basically, and there is no prep, so there's no GM fiat. The concept. So I'm gonna start it over. Here's the 4 questions. Alright, so what is this game about? This game is about deduction to solve murder. How is it about that? By creating a deductive environment between player and GM narration, and also by eliminating GM fiat and preparation. So that's how is it about that. So we'll see how it does it, and then how does it reward it? It rewarded by the use of rewards for good deduction, and also it rewards it by winning the game, because there is a winner in the game, either the narrator or the player. And how does it make it fun? Because it's a collaboration between the two. It's not you're against. That's the thing. I'm changing the notion of winner and loser. I'm changing it. There is a winner. You can win the game. You win the game by solving the murder, but you need to work together to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? So that makes it fun. The thing that you can win, but you have to work together to achieve that status, that accomplishment of solving the murder. So this is the questions, the basic question, the design question. This is the answers to these questions. Now, how does it work? So you have let's call him a GM, because I can find it a fancy name for it, but it is what it is. He's the one who tells when to roll and how to roll and what to roll and all that, and the only thing that the GM prep is the crime scene. And we'll see later on what it is. And when you prep the crime scene, there's no story behind it. It's just elements. So this is where it happens. This is what you see. And when it says the details of what the players see, there's no clue in it. We don't know nothing. He's just saying stuff. The body is like that, and it's right there, and that's it, you know. And he doesn't even know what happened, the GM. That's really important. Really, really important. He sets up a crime scene at the beginning, makes it fun, makes it funny or interesting or completely awkward or whatever, and then the emerging stuff starts from there. So that's the only thing that he needs to prep, because we need a starting point, and that's it. The rest is just, it's gonna happen by improv and by dice rolling. So this is what the GM does, basically. And then you have the player. Now the player can be two, because sometimes detectives come in pairs. You know, a classic one is Sherlock Holmes, True Detective. You know, they come in pair, but it doesn't have to. So basically, what's going on? The game is divided in first, there's no setting. The setting is a whodunit situation between player and GM, and so you can create a Victorian detective story, a Western detective story, a futuristic sci-fi detective story. You can create with it contemporary sci-fi story, detective story. Doesn't Cthulhu type, you know, doesn't matter. True Detectives type, Sherlock Holmes, doesn't matter. And so all you have to do is adjust the skills and the technology level to it. And then so that's like fluff. And then the game is divided in 3 phases. So you have the crime scene, which is the first phase. It's always starting. It's always start with a crime scene, and the game is a scene framing design approach to it. So you don't have traveling scenes. All you have to do is you go there, you do that, and then you have there, and you do that, and then you have there. So you have phases. It's really structured, really, really structured. So there's no going around and fooling around. Like, for example, if you want to role play, let's say you want to create like a True Detective kind of thing. In True Detective, when they travel in the car, it's just a conversation. There is these scenes. So you can have these in the game, but there's no role allowed. You don't roll into these situations. All you do is you fluff story and you talk, but the roles happen in the scene and in the phases. So you have the crime scene. The crime scene is the first phase. This is where it starts. So this is the beginning of the game. It always starts like that. So the GM the GM has to come with a long, rich, full of details description. You're not allowed to ask questions in the game, never. So that's because the GM has nothing to answer anyway. That's really important. So this is like a social contract embedded in the game. You cannot ask questions. So the player, all you have, the game is basically like this. The players, they say something like, "I see blood on the floor." The GM never talk about blood. Let's say I see blood on the window. I see like a digit with blood on the window. The GM never says that. The player says that. So in order for that to be there, the player needs to roll and to succeed on his roll. If he succeeds on his roll, the bloody digit is there. This is the core principle of the game. This is how it goes. And if the player fail, the GM gets to tell what it is. Oh, you see a red liquidish digit, but it's cherry sauce. And it looks like it's been there for months. Oh. And then you look in the basket and you see I don't know, some you see a plate, you know, with cherry sauce in it, and so he was eating some cherry sauce thing, and then he has some on his finger, and You see? So depending on what the roles tells you, the clue that was proposed by the player, because it always comes from the player, well, it changes. So depending if the GM says so, or if the player says so. If the player succeed, oh, you just find a clue. You find a bloody digit on the window. So I'm gonna get into details of the mechanic in another video, but that's basically the core principle. Now, after the crime scene, you have the investigation phase. So that's where the player starts to decide what they do, where they go, what's going on. So you have different kind of subsystems. You have there's basically one subsystem. It's called the interrogation conflict. So you wanna interrogate the neighbors. You wanna interrogate the colleagues. You wanna interrogate the child, the husband, the wife, the widow. All that. So you go into an interrogation phase, and you get to talk with an NPC. So the GM is against you. This is where it comes down to this. The GM is right there. And the player is right there, and they talk to each other. And the GM doesn't have a clue about the story, but the thing is that you want to tell the story together, and that's the old thing. So basically the GM rolls against the player. So the GM creates always uses an average of the PC's attribute and stuff, and then he uses that against the player. So the GM cannot starts to say, oh, this guy is really, really smart, or this guy is is superior to you, so he has all these stats and rolls, and this is not how it goes. So you take an average and you add the numbers to it, and also the GM has a pool of points he can use during the game to create adversity on you. So that's something I'm gonna talk on in another video. And then so you could do versus roles, and this is how your interrogation goes. There is a subsystem that I'm gonna discuss, and then you find some information during these. And so during the investigation phase, the player needs to find stuff like this. He needs to find a murder weapon. He needs to find an alibi. He needs to find a mobile. He needs to find a procedure, so how it happened, and you need to find a weapon. What kills so you need to find the weapon. You need to find the object. So these are the 5 elements you need to find in order to go to the last phase, which is the accusation phase. And the game finishes when you're done with the accusation. And there is like a big roll at the end of the game that's called a deduction roll, and where you accumulate the clues. And the more clues you have, you have clues for weapons, you have clues for alibi, you have clues for mobile. Clues are the clues are the unit of the deduction subsystem, and so you accumulate these clues. They give you point to your dice roll, and you roll. And depending if you win or you fail, the GM gets to tell what happened, or if you succeed as a player, the player gets to tell what happened, and the one who wins is the one who gets to tell what happened. That's basically it. So what the GM does during the whole game is that he creates adversity using his points he has, and using the randomizer of the dices to narrate on your failure as a player. So the GM narrates on your failure. By narrating on the failure, he gets to tell the story more than the PC. So at the end, the accusation looks more like the story that the GM told. But if the PC succeeds more on his dice rolls, the story's gonna look more like the ideas of the PC. So at the end, the clues are going to be coming from the PC more than the GM and all that. And then, depending on the last roll, the one who's going to narrate is going to tell what happened, who did it and what happened and all that. And so sometimes you finish with an accusation that is wrong, It's not the good person, or it's not the good procedure, or it's not the good mobile, or it's not the good alibi, or it's not. And or you get to find what happened for real. And it's like in real life, you never know what happened. You know, the police comes up with a you know with an answer to a crime, but it's just what they say. It's never, you know, sometimes you have like I don't know how you guys say it in English, but you have a testimony. You know, someone says it, you know, this is what happened and all that, but it does sometimes it's bullshit and you never know. So it's the same thing with the game. You never know, but you get a final accusation situation, you get an answer. So and that's the goal of the game. So you basically play like that, and it's for I would say 2 sessions. You can have like a 5-session investigation with lots of clues and lots of intricate stuff. There's no limit to it, but I would say 2 or 3 sessions max, depending on your mystery. You can probably do it in 1 if you have a really short thing, small thing. And so that's basically the structure. So 3 phases, GM and player against each other on who's gonna narrate the most, depending on failure and successes of the dice rolls. That's basically it. There's a couple subsystems. I'm gonna go in details in other videos, but that's it. My point with this game that I wanted to make, in terms of design and in terms of philosophy, is that I wanted a detective story with no prep, no fiat, and together we want to know who done it. And I was like, okay, how can I create a game that works? That I am the GM and you're the player, and together we want to know what happened. Here's a fucked up crime scene. Let's find out. That's my starting point. That's what I wanted to achieve, and I'm pretty sure I did it. Now I'm in the playtest phase right now. I did a couple of tests here and there, but I need to playtest more. The rules are done. I've written everything. Character creation is done. I'm gonna talk about it in in another video, but I just need to playtest it. I'll give it to strangers and stuff like that. But yeah, that's basically it. My point was that I wanted to create a real whodunit game where it's fun to play because you want to find out, and the dice is gonna tell you, and the player you play with is gonna surprise you with cool clues, cool narration, and cool deduction. You have to do real deduction in this game. You cannot roll deduction and just, oh, the dice gonna tell you, or the GM's gonna tell you, because nobody knows. The only way you can roll the dice is if you made some deduction, because the proposition that you make, I want to find bloody digit on the window, or I want to find this in the basket, or I want to find a bullet on the ground, or I want to find a bullet hole in the wall, or I want to find this and that. In order to have these ideas, these narrative ideas, in order to have those, you have to deduct stuff from the crime scene. So the GM is gonna tell you all kinds of details and stuff, and you're gonna have to deduct things. And when you really like one of your deduction, you propose it, then you roll, and if you succeed, this is what you got. This is the clue. This is what you understand from it, and this might gonna follow you all the way to the accusation at the end, or change depending on what the NPCs are gonna tell you. So this is why the GM on his side has to deduct as well, to change your deductions, to make it, to surprise you, to surprise everything, or to just to get to tell his story. But nobody knows at the beginning, right? Anyway, so that's the thing. So it's a deductive game, and in order to roll, you need to make deduction before. Otherwise, it doesn't. You cannot just say, I find this, I find that. It doesn't. If there's no deduction behind it, if you don't know how to deduct from what you're saying, you're not gonna be able to come up with anything. It's not clue. You cannot say it's Plum in the bathroom with a rope. You cannot say it. You have to explain. So anyway, I'm gonna get into the more details of the mechanic, how it works, and in other videos, but this is it. This is this is the post-mortem, or yeah, probably post-mortem. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about the concept, the idea, and yeah, let's see if that works. All right, talk to you soon.